YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. This is the Crazy Troll Nation. We started here with chapstick, but we're not today because we got stuff going on. The crazy, because it's stuff like that. I hiccup unexpectedly, and I'm sorry, that was so rude. And the troll, because there is no such thing, but also just to make a little fun of the perfection aspect of the beauty community, because there is no such thing except to say you're perfect the way you are. Try not to feel like you need to fit into the industry's standards or someone else's expectation of what you should use, how you should use it, what you should look like. Don't do that. Try not to do that. You're uniquely you. You're perfect the way you are. You're beautiful inside and out. This channel is about self-acceptance, self-love. Embrace your features. Enhance them if you want to. We love to play and face paint, but just owning who you are and wearing what you want to wear, the way you want to wear it, and rock it with confidence. That is the basic concept of the Crazy Troll Nation, and I hope that that sounds good to you. I would love for you to subscribe, to click like, to browse around through my playlists and like the videos that you like there that you watch. Leave comments. I do reply back. I would love to have you to be a part of the Crazy Troll Nation and to rock and roll on this troll train with me. I will show you what else we do here on this channel. I'm laughing because this is another eyeshadow palette tag video, and this is the part 1. Part 2 is going around right now lately since like January. Today is February 19th. This will be uploaded, I think, March, maybe April. I don't know. My upload schedule, y'all, is ridiculous. But it's funny because I only have 18 palettes. And so when I talk about one of them, you're going to be like, okay, I saw the other video. She already said that. So I do apologize. But if you're new here, this may be new news for you. So we're going to jump into the questions. They will be down below. I do not know who initiated this tag, but I will put, you know what? I did look and see Angelica. I looked at her part 2, and in her description box for part 2, she also linked her part 1. And she said who created the part 1, and she linked those 2 channels. And so all of that will be in my description box. Angelica's and the 2 people she said initiated the tag, and their links to this tag as well. Yes, so please check out their channels. So we're going to jump in. This is just so funny to me because I don't have like hundreds and hundreds of palettes. I have 18. And I only keep what I love and what I use, which means I don't have extra stuff. And so that eliminates a lot of clutter. I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a collector. If it doesn't work for me, I get rid of it. If I have a reaction to it, I get rid of it. So the stuff you see, that's why you keep seeing the same stuff. And even in these tag videos and my collection videos, you keep seeing the same stuff because that's what works. And when I try something new, if it doesn't work, it got to get off this train, baby. So the first one is my newest palette, the Nomad Cosmetics Marrakesh palette. That's what this look is, the first look that I did with this palette. This is what she looks like. Beautiful colors. This yellow is on my inner corner. Usually yellows do not show up on me, and it's over the Fenty primer, which is a clear primer. So this is like no extra base, no extra anything. Clear primer, put this on, boom. Really. I was surprised my damn self because I was like, yellows don't show up on my complexion and my undertone. This one does without any extra help. I love Nomad's formula. My oldest palette is the Natasha Denona Safari palette. It is an all matte palette. And this is pre-creamy matte, pre-cream to powder formula, but I do still like it. I just had to tweak how I apply my shadow for it to show up the way I wanted it to. And once I figured that out, that's when I fell in love with this palette. And this is my oldest one. This expires August 2022. But as long as it performs well, you can keep shadows longer than what they say. Keep them in a cool, dry place, yada, 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 yada. My most expensive palette, this is kind of tricky because I don't pay full price for palettes. If I did, my Natasha Denonas would be my most expensive palettes because they are at full price $129. The most I paid for one was the Sephora Rouge Sale 20% off, and it was like $103.20. But since then, I wait for her bundle deals on her website, which brings down her palettes to almost half off. And sometimes she'll just have a sale, and I think that's when she's trying to get rid of stuff, because I purchased the backup of Leela, I think for $80 something, and then it went on sale for like $70. And so if you're wanting a luxury brand that when you look through their history, you see that they have really good sales, just wait for a sale. And so this was the most I've paid for Natasha Denona, was $103. And I don't even think it was Metropolis. I think it was a different one. But then when I started noticing sales, I'm like, shit, I will wait for a sale or a bundle deal. And so, but Natasha Denona would be the most expensive. Most affordable, I'm gonna say her 5-pan palette, which is $48, but I purchased it on sale. And sometimes you can find these for half off. It'll just be like a sale for half off for a few days. And so when you see it for half off, you just gotta just grab it. And so this is a $48 palette. I did not pay $48 for it. And when I had the cranberry, that was on sale for like $24.50. And so I'm gonna say this is my most affordable because I paid half price for it. Yeah, sorry about that. Everyday palette, we're going to go back to Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. You can get neutral out of here, neutral subtle looks, monochromatic, somewhat colorful looks. You can go deeper with your pops of your blue and your greens. You have these deeper tones here and this deeper green. You can go grungy. This could be a look, these four right here. You know what I mean? So this to me is an everyday palette. If I was traveling, meaning if it wasn't COVID, I would just take just this palette because I can do any type of look with this. This row, now granted, one of these are not from this palette, it's from something else. But this is like just a neutral, there, not there look. And I do have a playlist for all of my palettes. And so browse around if you want to see what I've done with these palettes that I'm showing you. My most colorful, I'm going to show you two only because there's a difference, even though they're both colorful. This is Scott Barnes Color Bomb. $84 palette. I purchased it for 30% off, so it was like $54 and some change. Like, I don't pay full price for palettes, I'm telling you. This is colorful, yes. Yes, it is. It's a bright colorful. And I'm going to show you why I said this and why this one is not listed as my most colorful, even though it is colorful. I'm trying to get the paper back on here. This is my most colorful. Natasha, sorry I have papers, stickies on it with looks to do. Natasha Denona Circle Local Palette, which in English means the Crazy Circus. This is my most colorful. So in comparison to the Color Bomb from Scott Barnes, I'm trying to get the glare away, here we go. This is colorful, but it's bold and deeper. These are my tones. I like myself, even though this is not a bold and deep look, I like myself with a dark eye and a dark lip. But I do like everyday colors like this too. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose deeper colors. But anyway, and I do really, really like this look. This is from the Marrakesh palette. I did this earlier today. This is my most colorful. This shade right here is from the Sunset palette. This shade. I think everything else, yeah, everything else is original to this palette. So this is my most colorful, my boldest, deepest colorful palette. And I love it. You can't just pick it up and just wear it any time of day. And the way you can, these three shades right here pair really, really well. Inner lid, center lid, outer corner. That can be your look. Buff it out with this shade right here and you're done. And if you want to be more colorful than that, put this with this on your lower lash line. That could be your look. So you can do semi-neutral color-ish look. If you're into pastels, you can just use this little corner over here. But it's really not an everyday palette, which is great for me because I have what I call a workable curated collection, meaning everything has its place. There's no duplicates, even though I lean towards warm tones, and so you will see a lot of warm tones, but the color stories will still be different. The next question, did I do smallest palette? No, I didn't. That was most colorful. Smallest would be this one, this 5-pan palette. That's all I'm gonna say about that. My biggest palette would be Scott Barnes, either his Color Bomb or Snatchel palette, only because his palettes have 20 shadows in them. And even Natasha Denona only has 15. So this would be my largest palette. I don't do like the super duper large ones because for me it just gets overwhelming. And not only that, I know I'm not going to use every shade in that palette. And so even if it's good price-wise, I feel like I'm wasting product if I'm not going to use every shade in that palette. And so when I get something that's larger than this, and I have used every shade in here quite a few times, and all the shades in here do work for me. But when we get into the 30-pan, 40-pan rainbow palettes, excuse me, at least 2 rows won't show up on my complexion. And so it's like, why do I have this palette when I can't utilize the entire palette? And so that's why I stay away from larger palettes. So that's my largest, would be the Scott Barnes Color Bomb. And since I showed you that one, I will show you the Scott Barnes Snatchel palette. And this is what that looks like. So only my largest because it's 20 pans and all my other ones have less than that. The next one is Best Memory. This one, the MAC palette that I made for my birthday, I was given a 4-pan quad and I was allowed to pick 4 shades. I picked these 3 and this one. Let me open it so it doesn't glare you. So I picked these 2 and these 2. And then I purchased a Lime Crime palette because it was grungy goodness and it had these tones and these other shades. And so I went back to MAC with my Venus Lime Crime 2 palette and I duped out. So these shades here, well, particularly these 4 are dupes, and these were already dupes. This one is not a dupe. I just wanted something to add some additional something. And so, but this brings me joy because it reminds me back when I first started wearing makeup back in 2006, 2007, 2008, when I used to always wear MAC shadows. And so going back to MAC to get my free birthday gift and to make my quad, it just brought back those memories. And then when I used the shades, I'm like, why did I ever get away from MAC? Like, I love how their shadows perform. And so it just brings back those memories, you know, me going back to my roots wearing MAC again. And this lip I'm wearing, well, the purple you see is a MAC product and then there's other stuff on top of it. But I was reminded that I love MAC. And so it is a fond memory of when I started wearing makeup, you know, all those years ago. And so that's why this one is here. The next question is, which palette is worth the hype? And then the next question is, which palette is not worth the hype? I don't have palettes to show you for either one of those categories because I keep what I love. And so to me, everything I have is worth the hype for one reason or another. My opinion, my perception, of course. And if I purchase something, as I said earlier, if it doesn't work for me, I don't keep it. And so I don't have anything that I don't think is worth the hype. Because if I don't think it's worth it, I'm not going to keep it. Because why is it taking up space if I don't like it or enjoy using it? So sorry, not sorry. I don't have anything to show you for that category. My favorite palette from my favorite brand. I will have to go back to the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. And I'm so sad that this has disappeared from the internet. I don't know. And it wasn't any warning because sometimes her stuff will go on sale for like half off for a while. And then I'm like, okay, she's trying to get rid of it. And then it'll disappear. This was there one day and just going the next. Like it was no warning, or I would have purchased a backup. Like seriously, I would have. But this is my favorite palette from my favorite brand because, as I said earlier, this is an everyday. I can pick this up and do any type of look I want to do. I can do neutral, I can do color, I can do grungy, I can do the blues, the greens. This is an everyday palette for me. And so this is my favorite. And I'm hoping it pops up somewhere Yeah. And I purchased Zendo because to me that's the little sister to, where is Zendo? But you know what, I switched it. I switched out some of the sunrise shadows and some of the Zendo shadows. So my Zendo palette is a mix between Zendo and sunrise. But I purchased Zendo because it was reminiscent of some of those tones you see in Metropolis. Let's see if I can not be as awkward as I am. So, am I like, I just swiped my finger all across that shade. Yo, I am so awkward. So this is Metropolis, of course, and this is Zendo. So even though the tones are different, you have some of the reddish, the browns, some of the greeny blues in Zendo that you have in Metropolis, even though Metropolis overall is more warm, which is what I love. And so, but that's why I purchased Zendo, because it reminds me of Metropolis, sort of like the baby sister to Metropolis. And I love Natasha Denona's, I'm trying to wipe that stuff off my finger. I love her creamy matte and cream to powder formula, which is what most of the Zendo palette was. Because typically I don't like the formula in her midi palettes. But when I saw the formulations, I'm like, okay, that'll work. And it does work, and I like it once I mixed it with Sunrise. And I have a video about that too. Most used palette and most underrated palette. I don't have a most used palette because I'm retired since 2014. Yay me. My time is my own. So I don't wear makeup every day. And so, yeah, the palette I use most at that time is whatever my newest palette is. Because when I get a new palette, my goal is to use each shadow at least 3 times. And I do tend to do 3 or 4 looks with that palette. Browse through my playlist and you'll see exactly what I mean. And so I don't have a most used overall. And once I do, I don't want to say use up, but once I use every shade in a palette at least 3 or 4 times, then it'll go into my rotation of other palettes. And I have a system for that I explain in another video. Most underrated. Most underrated, I'm going to say, is my newest palette, which is Nomad Cosmetics Marrakesh palette, because search YouTube for Nomad Cosmetics Marrakesh palette. It's only a handful of videos that show up. I don't know why. The formula of Nomad shadows are phenomenal. And as you can see, the look I did today came from this palette. So you can go soft, light, springtimey, summertimey if you do looks by season. Or, you know, you can do a little smoke with this shade here. You have some deeper shades here. You can go colorful. You got some blues and you got the yellows over here. So to me, this is underrated. You can do a lot with this palette, but looking online, it's like, why is this not shown? I'm trying to think of a way to say this sentence, and this is like my 4th video today, and I'm just like, But I don't know why this palette does not have more representation on YouTube. It's a beautiful color story. If you like warm tones, if you like blues, this could be your everyday palette. You can just like not use the blues. This is an everyday palette. Look at this. This is everyday. This is everyday. And like I did, this yellow here is on my inner corner. This can be an everyday palette. Look at this look I did. I mean, it's beautiful. And you can just pop the blue on your lower lash line if you want to. Easy peasy. If you don't want to put it on your lid. So yeah, this is underrated. I don't know why. And I searched again when I received this the other day. It's only a handful of palettes. A handful of palettes. It's only a handful of videos with this palette on YouTube. I don't know why. It's phenomenal. Their formula is phenomenal. It's just fantastic. And so, you know what? I had Berlin Underground sitting here and I forgot why. But what I was going to say was I pulled this one out because this is my most affordable palette. And I say that because I purchased it on sale for $29 from the Nomad website. So this is my most affordable. And recently, the Marrakesh, I purchased that for $29 off the Nomad site. Now check this out. I purchased this on sale, $29. A couple weeks later, it dropped to $19. And so when I saw Marrakesh for $29, I didn't want to wait because I'm like, this looks like a really beautiful palette. I'm going to get it. And I'm like, it'll probably drop down again, but I didn't want to wait and miss it. So I bought it for $29, and guess what? It dropped down to $19. I'm not mad though, because this I think is like a $44 palette for $29. And now $19 as of February 19th, which is today. And so if you're wanting Nomad, you don't want to pay the $44, just like Berlin Underground dropped to $29 and then $19. Marrakesh dropped down to $29 and then $19. Just keep an eye on a Nomad website and wait for stuff to drop. And then just buy it. And so that would be my least expensive. My most affordable would be my Nomad Cosmetics. The $44 palettes for $29, or if you waited, for $19. And someone has said that they had purchased Cartagena. I think that was the one from Ipsy, the Ipsy shop, for like $17. But you don't know what's going to be in the Ipsy shop, but you do know what's going to be on the brand website. And so I would say just sign up for Natasha Denona's site if you're wanting to branch out to her. Sign up on, well, Nomad Cosmetics, they don't have a sign up. So you would just have to go check. And when something drops, then buy it. That's it. And so that's it for this video. I hope it was, I don't know. I hope it held your interest. Because I have so few palettes, I feel like I just keep saying the same thing over and over. And so if this was redundant, I apologize. If you're new here, thank you. And I'm happy you've heard something new. And so that'll be it for this video. And you will see me in the next one. Feel free to do this tag if you want to. It's open for anybody. Anything on the internet is open for anybody. And if you do, excuse me, so rude. If you do it and you remember to, let me know and I will go watch it. And that'll be it. Seriously, you'll see me next time.